You're talking about it. We're talking about it.
BBC Tees. Get in touch.
Text 81333 and start your message with Tees.
BBC Tees.
Yeah, if you've been with Mike, hopefully this morning you'll have been listening to the news that social clubs, well, certainly one of them is making the news today. This is all because a local lady, she's Dawn Lithgow, she felt degraded when she was refused entry into Hardwick social clubs. So we're asking, have working men's clubs had their day, or are they as popular as ever? Love to hear your thoughts. 01642 22 5511. Alison, honestly, when was the last time you were in a social club? Can you remember?
Yeah, I was about 17, 18. I was in a semi-professional dance troupe and we performed in Workingmen's Club.
Sunday night?
I can't remember.
What were you
remember
called?
what night it was. Oh, I can't even remember that now.
You'll have been on the billboard, though. Some people, I remember her, yeah. Speaking of it, let's go to the lines because Billy is waiting for us. Billy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Neil.
You're an entertainer and singer.
I am, yes.
Have working men's clubs had their day?
I don't think they've had their day. I think they've had their heyday. They're nowhere near as popular as they used to be, and they are sort of dying off at a phenomenal rate at the moment.
What do you put it down to as somebody who experiences, at least 3-4 times a week, some weeks?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I perform sort of 3 or 4 nights a week. There's lots of things. I mean, people have put it down to the smoking ban, cheap beer in supermarkets, that sort of thing. There's a lot of people have mentioned late-night transport's no longer available, taxis are too expensive, entertainment at home with, the myriad channels that we have on the TV these days.
So lethal combination, I suppose, as well, isn't it?
It's a lethal combination, it is. And stories like Dawn's sort of don't help to sort of take the Workingmen's Club out of the era that people think that they are still in, that people think they are still in the 1950s.
Is that because they still are in that era?
Some clubs are, as the General Secretary of the CIU said on the programme earlier, the thing with the Dawn not being allowed in the bar, I think it was, if I get the story correctly, I don't think she was actually banned from the club as such, but banned from going into the bar to watch her partner play billiards or snooker or something. This is a big thing that you see in workingmen's clubs still, even though under the Equalities Act, women should not be barred from going into the bar. Some clubs still have that rule in place. Yeah, I hear a lot of blokes saying, we just want to go in the bar for a bit of peace and quiet and to be able to talk the way that blokes talk. I think my argument against that is, if you do go into a men's bar in a workingmen's club, you are served by a woman behind the bar. If women are good enough to serve you beer, then they're good enough to drink the beer.
Come on, Glenn. Yeah,
absolutely. Who's running these places? Fred Flintstone.
Exactly. And another thing, I've discussed this this morning with a fellow entertainer of mine. He's of the same opinion. He says that a lot of clubs these days actually have women on the committee now because, obviously, women have as much right to help run the clubs as the men these days. And to be honest with you, I find, and he finds, that the clubs that have women on the committee are the ones that are actually doing the best and the ones that are actually thriving and are the most pleasurable ones to play in.
Is it fear, Billy, on behalf of the management, the people who are running these clubs, that if you start changing radical things like allowing women in, your core audience, your core drinkers will simply disappear? Is that what it is?
I think that they're really, to be honest, scared stiff of losing their last little sort of male bastion of the working men's club area, and that's the bar.
But the impression you get is they're suffocating themselves anyway by doing this.
They are. Let's be honest, the working men clubs are dying. We know that. We need to get as many people in as possible. We need to get feet over the threshold, get people to start enjoying working men's clubs again. And it's rules like this that don't help.
I can't help thinking that we're talking about, and I hope we're talking about, a minority of incidents here. I come from Yorkshire coal miners, and my dad spent an awful lot of his time in Working Man's Club in Wakefield. I remember dragging my girlfriends down for the last drink, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
And the place invited women in, and it was very affable in all areas. In all areas, and it did in all the local Working Men's clubs.
You were
in Wakefield, yes, in all the Working Men's clubs.
You're really surprised that.
And I'm going back. I should have to say this, but I'm going back 30 years now. I'm not talking about present day, so I'm hoping that these are very isolated incidents, and if they are, they need to be snuffed out immediately.
You're absolutely right there. I do a lot of clubs over in the northwest as well. That's not to be seen over there in the northwest. Women have been allowed in every area of the club for a long, long time now.
Billy, just stay there, because I want to go to Daniel, who wants to have a chat with you. Good morning to you, Daniel.
Hello,
Hi, thank you for your call. You want to speak to Billy, do you?
Yes.
He doesn't know your money, does he?
No.
All right. Go on then.
Right, I've just phoned up. I was thinking, don't men have the right to be in their club? The club was set up by working men for a place for men to go. Now, women have their clubs. They have their Women's Institute. They have their women-only gym days. Isn't the same argument able to be brought over to them, that it's not equal?
Billy, do you want to come back?
Yeah, hi Daniel. I recognise that voice. Yeah, I mean, men have their own sort of men's-only things as well. I mean, we have, like, you know, the Masons and things like that. We're talking, you know, working men's clubs. Dare I say this? You probably find that there are a few people in the working men's clubs who don't work. Is that discrimination? You know, no, let's open up the working men's clubs to everybody. The CIU and the clubs themselves need as much revenue as possible to keep going. You know, it's time to cut out the silliness, open the places up. Nobody stops ladies going into the bars in a pub.
No,
you know,
but they also have a lounge. If men wanted to drink with the women, the men would be able to drink in the lounge with the ladies, or the wives or the girlfriends. By allowing the ladies, girlfriends, wives into the bar area, are we not going to stop the men who want to drink on their own or with their friends going somewhere else, i.e. the friend's shed?
Go on, Alison. Do you want to come in there? Daniel's still there.
I find this really. I would be so upset if I heard my partner talking in this way.
Talk to him. Daniel's still on there.
He can't bear to be in a room drinking a beer when another woman is in the room.
No,
but that's exactly what you've just said. Men want to go and drink on their own. They don't want another woman in that room.
That's why they have the lounge.
But you've just said, Daniel. But when men want to drink on their own, they need to go to a place where the women aren't allowed. And I just find that really sort of archaic. And you know, frankly, I would be appalled if my partner talked about myself or other women in that way.
You've got your own room.
We're not a disease. You're not going to catch anything from sitting in the same room.
No,
it's quite denigrating.
Let Daniel come back. Go on, Daniel. It's all right.
Men have wanted in the past somewhere to go. After the hard day's work, maybe they haven't worked, but they have the right to go somewhere where they can do what they want.
What are you going to do? That is so appalling.
They may not want to do anything. They may just want to be somewhere where they can talk to their friends and socialise with their friends, just as women have their clubs. They have their own institute.
And you know, I go into pubs, Daniel, and I see that going on all the time. It's really weird. There's a group of men around a table talking, drinking, socialising, and I'm in another part of the pub, and we don't seem to have a problem with one another being in the same space. And there's this working man, I will go back to, I think, what the other caller said. Women are working now as well, and in some cases...
So women have the right to start their own clubs up.
Well, Daniel, doesn't your argument fall down in the fact that you're saying you want a male-only environment? The reality is there's a female barmaid in there. Doesn't your argument fall down at that?
No, it's not a male-only environment. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is sometimes men want to get away from the spouses, the partners,
well, they
girlfriends.
don't go out with them then. Go out with the lads. That's what me and my partner do. We don't want to go out with each other all the time. Occasionally he wants to go out with his mates. But it doesn't mean you can't be in a room where there are other women.
So they've also got a lounge where the ladies are allowed to go. So you say men sit at one side of the pub when you go out and you sit on the other side.
Well, not when I go out with my partner, clearly. We all sit around because we're out together, and that's why we go out together.
Which is a great thing about pubs. But a working man's club is a club for men. The women go into the lounge.
It hasn't been a club for men for 30 years.
Yeah.
Daniel, do you still go out on a regular basis to a men-only club then?
No, I don't drink. I don't go out.
You don't? No. But
my argument is you're calling for equal rights and that women should be allowed in because it's an outdated system. Women have their clubs. Women have their institutes. They have their clubs. They have their sauna days. They have etc. and so on. If a man tries to join them, maybe they'd be allowed, maybe they wouldn't. But it's the names. It's women's only. Men should be allowed their little area as well.
Daniel, thank you very much indeed for your call. 01642 225511. Billy, just to summarise what Daniel said there, I mean, do you agree with part of his argument? Because the reality is, for you, this is your trade and your business, and if it doesn't survive, then the reality is you've got to look elsewhere for your employment, haven't you?
Well, that's right. But, as I say, you were right there. I think working men's clubs have moved on so much in the last 30 or 40 years. And we're finding that a lot of them are coming into the 21st century. It's just the ones that you really sort of stay in the past. Again, you know, it is the law. The CIU themselves, the Clubs and Institutes Union, have said, you know, you can't do this any longer. We need as many people in. Keep the clubs alive, especially here in the North East, and let's do what we have to do to keep them alive. As Alison said, there's not a problem with having women in the bar. I don't see a problem.
We've had a text, and we'll try and get hold of her in the next half an hour. Angela's been in touch. Neil, I was told a few years ago that I could not take my dog for into one of the clubs in Loftus, so we simply didn't go back. Because Angela may have a disability. I don't know the situation.
Well, that was a female dog, perhaps.
01642 22 55 Very good. Quick. Text 81333. Start your text message with the word tease. If you want to get in touch with us, loads of ways you can do it today. Have working men's clubs had their day, or are they as popular as ever?
Get in touch.
Call 01642 22 55 11.
BBC Tees.